Hi, our story for today is the true story of the three little pigs. And I bet it's a different version than you've heard before. It's by A. Wolf, and it's as told to John Scieszka and illustrated by Lane Smith. Let's see how this story is different. Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf, but you can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault that wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you're big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time land, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold and I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig. And he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it just fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake, and that's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed, and I sneezed a great sneeze. It was a really big one. And do you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been in the home all the time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I just sneezed a great sneeze. He sneezed another big sneeze, and look what happened again, according to the wolf. You're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know how food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, and my cold was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the second and first little pig's brother. He must have been the brains out of the family because he had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little porker answered? Get out of here, wolf, and don't bother me again. Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't even give me one little cup for my dear, sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of the cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, and your old granny can sit on a pin. Well, now I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, But when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down the pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about it, the 2 pigs I'd had for dinner, and they figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it, the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. That's a little bit different version of this story, isn't it? One thing that we need to talk about is the sneezing in this book, because we know that right now, with our schools closed and our libraries closed and a lot of other places closed, we're trying to stay away from people and not expose people to illnesses. So if he had only done this, sneezed into his elbow, the first two little pigs would probably still be alive. So just remember, if you're out in public or even around your family in your home and you need to sneeze or cough, be sure to use your elbow to sneeze or cough. I hope you enjoyed the story, the true story of the 3 little pigs. See you next time.